From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your Evening Update.
Daniels Roofing, licensed, bonded, insured roofing contractor. 45 years of generational expertise, offering a variety of roofing systems in the North State. Composition shingles, metal, tile, fire-safe wood shingles, and spray foam roofing systems. An energy-saving cool roof, perfect for commercial flat roofs and mobile homes. With other companies, you may get a foreman or a salesman. But with Daniels Roofing, you get Daniel. Call today for your free estimate. Daniels Roofing, 3 generations working hard to protect your home and business.
Well, the first in a series of storms is heading our way. It's going to bring us some heavy rainfall tonight and even into parts of tomorrow as well. Good evening, everyone. I'm Meteorologist Mike Krueger. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's take a look at our Krueger's Quickcast. For those of you that are in a hurry, just a quick look at your forecast for tonight and through the day tomorrow. All right, so for tonight, we've got the overcast skies, rain, wind, and high elevation snow, mainly above 6,000 feet. Not too terribly cold because it's a warmer air mass that has kind of moved in. However, we've got some colder air coming in with the cold front that'll be passing through tonight. Now, out the door tomorrow morning, there's going to be that rain. There may even be some thunderstorms. And by the way, thunderstorms possibly tonight. And it's not just the coast, but even parts of the valley and some of the higher elevations may see an isolated thunderstorm as well. So the main storm system is off to our west. That's what's going to be moving in closer and is going to be moving through tonight. It's going to bring the rain, it's going to bring the wind, and that high elevation snow. So taking you through tonight, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, as we go into midnight tonight, there's the round of heavy rain. Now, keep in mind that the ground has been getting more and more saturated over the last few days, and in many cases, it's overly saturated, which means it can't accept any more rain or water. So we may start to see some of that flash flooding tonight in some areas going into tomorrow morning. Now, once the cold front passes, we're going to be under a cold and unstable atmosphere. So we're going to see these impulses move through, and that's going to bring us rounds of heavy rainfall, not all day long, but periods of heavy rainfall for some of us, along with that potential for thunderstorms. Snow levels a little bit lower for your Saturday, probably somewhere around 5,000 feet. And then we go into Saturday night, we still have more showers and possible thunderstorms. Now, we talk about the thunderstorms. Notice the darker area of green. The Storm Prediction Center is putting the valley and the coast in a marginal risk, basically saying, hey, listen, there's a chance we could see severe thunderstorms, which means heavy downpours, hail, gusty winds, and lightning. So that's something we'll be watching here very closely as we go into tomorrow afternoon. In the meantime, we talk about those winds, and yes, they will be gusty tonight. They'll be gusty early tomorrow morning, and they'll be gusty through the day on Saturday as well. So be prepared for gusty winds, and the winds will be just strong enough where we could see some downed trees and power outages. So for tonight, for your Saturday, temperatures will be in the low to mid 50s in the valley, 40s for most of the higher elevations, and mid to upper 50s for the coast. All right, there's your 7-day forecast, and off and on rain pretty much through Wednesday. Now, we may see a bit of a lull and a break on Tuesday, and then eventually by Thursday, Friday, I'm expecting drier pattern to move on in. For the coast, inland, and for Trinity County, of course, that off and on rain as well. Snow levels eventually maybe as low as 3,000 to 3,500 feet by Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And you can see that's the case also for Siskiyou County. About 3,500 feet by Monday, Tuesday, maybe around 4,000 feet Wednesday. And then it looks like for Alturas and Susanville also the off and on chance for rain with snow down to about 4,000 feet eventually. And drier conditions for your Thursday and Friday. All right, so that's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. If that's all you needed, hey, have a great rest of your night. But we've got a lot more to dive into. First of all, let's take a look at our weather headlines. And yeah, that rain continues off and on going well into next week. Possibly by around mid-Wednesday, as a matter of fact. But with this rain coming, we got several series of storms coming in. We've got the potential for more flooding. And on top of that, mudslides and debris flows. We can't forget about that. High snow levels to start off. We've been seeing that. But they will eventually lower through the weekend into early next week. And of course, the gusty winds that I was talking about. And we're going to get into all of that in our deeper dive forecast, sponsored by Shasta Hearing Aids.
Frank, come help with the dishes.
What?
The dishes!
I heard it the first time. I just got back from Shasta Hearing Aids, but she doesn't know it yet. What?
Forget it.
All right, so you can see that storm system that is approaching from the west, and you can see really a series of storms. What we've got is the flow around the area of low pressure. That's the colder air that's kind of getting wrapped up in that storm system. Behind the cold fronts, the colder air, that's what's moving in. This is what's going to allow our snow levels to drop, by the way, once that cold front does pass on through. In the meantime, we have a nice stream of moisture that is tapping into, so that's going to be the moisture source for the rain that we will see. And I talk about this parade of storms because we've got one storm after another. See this little impulse? We got the spin. You see that's coming in on Monday, and then we get another one coming down from the north as we go, especially into Wednesday of next week. But it looks like we will see high pressure begin to build in toward the end of next week around Thursday, Friday. And that should allow us to dry things out for the end of next week. So again, we talked about the potential for severe thunderstorms in the valley and even along the coast here, and even extending into your Sunday. There still is a slight chance for some thunderstorms for the coast and the valley as well. So along with this rain, don't be surprised if you start to hear some rumbles of thunder as well. All right, so let's take a look at Futurecast, walk you through the timing of all this. There you can see midnight tonight. It's pretty overspread across the region, and there will be pockets of pretty heavy rainfall at times for everyone seeing this. And on top of that, the gusty winds. We are seeing some snow on the map here, right? So it is lowering a little bit, but still probably around 5,000 to 6,000 feet as we go into tonight and early tomorrow morning. Now, there's going to be a bit of a lull in the activity, but the cold front will have passed at this point. So now we've got cold and unstable air and these impulses kind of in the upper level flow that'll be pushing through. So that's what's going to help to generate showers and possible thunderstorms through the afternoon on Saturday, and periods of heavy rainfall. Gusty winds will continue through the day on Saturday. Now we're still seeing some of that snow, probably somewhere around 5,000 feet, give or take, on Saturday. Now let's take you into Saturday night and through the day on Sunday. So here it is, Sunday morning, 8 a.m., there's pretty widespread rain. Now snow levels are getting a little bit lower, as you can see here. Most likely starting to see more and more chain requirements east of I-5 at this point. But on I-5, I think it'll be clear. On west of I-5, most likely in the form of rain, with the exception of Scott Mountain Scott Mountain Pass. With that exception of possibly seeing some of that snow there, and that may create some delays, if not a closure, because we are expecting some heavy snow up in some of those higher elevations. Now, we do have what looks to be a convergence line setting up. We're seeing some very strong south winds, and that could certainly set up on Sunday, but it doesn't look like it's going to last for very long, so it won't be what we saw several weeks ago, but it is certainly going to be a heavy band of rainfall, and you can kind of see as we go into 5 p.m. on Sunday, we're still seeing that potential of maybe some of that developing. And these lines historically typically develop southwest of Reading, all the way up to Bernie, and even sometimes northeast of that, and say Fall River Mills, and even as you start heading out towards the Aden area. But it's typically this area that tends to see most of it and tends to wobble north and south. We'll watch that as we go through the day on Sunday very closely. In the meantime, we've got more rain coming in from the west. So as we go into Sunday night and Monday, there's the next round of rain. Now, one thing to notice too, look at all the snow we're seeing on the map. Yes, it's some colder air that's going to be moving in with this next storm system coming in on Monday. And notice where the snow is. Mount Shasta. We could see snow at Mount Shasta and on I-5, which could create some delays there. Highway 36 West, look at that snow there. Hayfork, I think you're going to be a form of rain, as well as Weaverville. Look at Highway 299. You see you kind of get in that valley there? That is all rain. So I don't think we're going to see much in the way of snow, even over, say, Buckhorn Summit, although Buckhorn Summit may be borderline. That's where Buckhorn Summit is right here. Not really picking up much rain there. But Scott Mountain Pass, yeah, absolutely snow there. East of I-5, you're going to see snow as well. So that's Sunday night, early Monday morning, where we're going to see some of the lowest snow levels. And then the heavy snow through the day on Sunday, again, creating more chain requirements. And look at that, even still some snow around Mount Shasta City. But look what's happening. We're seeing a lot of the activity kind of pushing itself off to the east, and that's where most of the rain and snow will be by the second half of the day on Monday. And then by Monday night into Tuesday, you see how things are kind of breaking apart. So I think we're going to see a lull in the activity on Tuesday, and then the next round coming in on Wednesday, coming up from the northwest, working its way down to the south and east. I'm going to show you this here. I'm anticipating anywhere from say 2.5, 3, even maybe over 3 inches of rain in some cases here through next Tuesday for the valley. Now for the coast and the mountains there, you can see anywhere from 3 to even upwards of 5 inches of rain is a possibility. So obviously flash flooding will be a bit of a concern there, not much off towards the north and east. And again, a couple of the bullseyes that I mentioned here, this is where we're going to see more of the heavier rainfall north of the valley. Del Norte and southern Humboldt County is seeing some of that as well. Now, this is the flash flood risk as we go into tomorrow. The areas in green indicating it's a marginal risk, a slightly higher risk for the areas in yellow. That's not a surprise here because that's where we're seeing a bullseye of some of that heavier rainfall. And then going into your Sunday, still that potential for more flash flooding as we see more of those heavy downpours at times. Now, this is an in-house forecast model. What it does is it takes a look at the climate and how much rain we typically see for this 7-day period, and takes a look at the projected amount of rainfall. And is that overly excessive on top of what we typically see? And that's what this area is picking up here. So these are areas that we got to watch for, even more so with that potential for some flash flooding. But again, there are areas outside of that that will see that flash flooding. For example, you can see the National Weather Service has issued a flood watch for all of the areas in green here. So you'll notice it doesn't include Modoc or Siskiyou County and even Del Norte County. But we are most likely still going to see that potential. But most of it will be in the valley, and most of it will be especially in Humboldt County and even into Lassen and eastern Plumas County as well. And one of the reasons why, especially Chico Orville, because you saw where that heavier rainfall is in the mountains. And then of course that all comes down the mountains and in the foothills and works its way into the valley. So that's also one of the reasons why we typically can see that flooding in the valley. Sometimes the valley doesn't see as much rain, but in the foothills east of that, all of that runoff from the mountains and the foothills works its way down to the valley, lower lying areas, right? What does the water want to do, right? It wants to work with gravity and goes to the lowest place that it can, and a lot of times that's in the valley. All right, so we take a look at the river forecast. Can we talk about flooding? So let's talk about that for a second. Flash flooding, low-lying areas typically that I was just talking about, right? Streets, creeks and streams could see overflowing or going over the banks, right? And the rivers too. Eel River at Fernbridge. Now, the forecast is still keeping it below the minor flood stage, but that's something we'll have to watch here closely. Now the Sacramento River, and this is at Tehama Bridge, you can see it's getting close to minor flooding, so we can't rule that out, especially as we do go into Sunday and into Monday. Now, the Susan River at Susanville, you can see it kind of peaks on Saturday, and then we start to see it progressively start to go down from there. But we're going to have to watch some of these main rivers here over Northern California. All right, let's talk about the snow now. And we're going to take you through the day on Saturday first and foremost. Now, as I mentioned, remember, it's about 5,000 feet or higher that we're seeing most of that snow. So really not a whole lot of travel concerns. There may be over some of the higher mountain passes east of I-5 on Saturday that may see some chain requirements, but it's Sunday and Monday into Tuesday in particular that we now really start to kind of see that snow begin to pile up. Now, we're going to be talking about a ton of snow for some of the highest elevations in the Sierra and the Southern Cascades. 2 to 4 feet of snow, as a matter of fact, but that's above 6,000 feet, right? But as you head down to some of those higher mountain communities, like, say, Chester, I'm on the conservative side here with 3 to 6 inches. It may very well be more than that. We're looking at about 6 to 12 inches above 5,000 feet. Chester is at about 4,500 feet. So you could be within that 6 to 12 inch range. We'll see. And then Portola about 2 to 4 inches. Even though we've got it low enough, the snow low enough up in Modoc County, we're just not going to see a lot of precipitation in general for Modoc County. Now, for Mount Shasta City, if we can get that snow level down to 3,500 feet, then yes, we're talking a few inches of snow there as well. But Weaverville, Hayfork, mostly in the form of rain. Highway 299 at this point looks okay. Highway 36, though, may most likely be dealing with some chain requirements as well. So be aware of that. In fact, here's what I want you to do. If you have to travel in the mountains and you're beginning to get worried about snow, go to weathernorcal.com. That's where you start. Scroll down where it says road conditions right here. So click on that big image right there. What it will do is it will take you to a page that looks a lot like this. Now, this is not live data that you're looking at, but what I've done is I've taken all of the more popular cameras in our region, and you can at a quick glance see where it might be snowing. So for example, when I took this snapshot, I think it was last year, Fawndale was rain, right? But look where it was on Hilt. This was just near the state line there. And you can see here in extreme northern Siskiyou County, there was snow there. So if you're traveling, let's say you're at Fawndale, you go, oh, yeah, it looks like we'll be dealing with snow up there, right? So you get an idea. And that's what I love about what I've done here with this page. And on top of that, there's a quick link to Quick Maps for the Caltrans Quick Maps. All right, so now let's talk about the wind. Yeah, we're much like last week, right? It was the rain and flooding, the snow, and the winds. So the winds, as you can see here tonight, they're picking up. Now we're looking at 30 to 40 mile an hour winds, I'd say, for the valley, 40 to 50 for the coast. And I think in some cases, especially some of those higher mountain ridge tops, upwards of 60 miles per hour. You can see here, even for some of the higher elevations. Now through the day on Saturday, it's going to be gusty. Now notice on Sunday, strong winds for the valley and even east of that as well, but elsewhere, not that bad. And even as we go into Monday, still a little gusty for parts of the valley before eventually everyone sees calmer winds by the time we get into your Tuesday. Now this is looking at Friday through Sunday, and through that time frame it's picking up on the forecasted highest gust. So as you can see, it's not even quite 40 miles per hour for the valley, but I would anticipate we could get up to 40 miles per hour or slightly higher in the valley, and for parts of the coast and even in the higher elevations, 50 to even upwards of 60 miles per hour. So even at 40 miles per hour, saturated ground, it's soft. It's still enough for us to see those down trees and power lines. Take a look at the coastal flood alerts. This has nothing to do with the rain. Now this is strictly because of the king tides that we're dealing with here over the weekend. In fact, there's a coastal flood watch through Sunday for the immediate coast, a lot of the low-lying areas dealing with those king tides. We look at the forecast water level for Eureka, for example. You can see, look at that. Today, 9.55, still pretty high on Sunday. And even though it's dropping on Monday, it's still fairly high. I wouldn't be surprised if this watch or advisory was maybe extended to Monday. And you can see Crescent City, same situation. We're still seeing pretty high levels even as we go into your Monday as well. Now the wave heights, there you can see here, definitely going to be looking at those high wave heights, especially on Saturday. We may see them retreat a bit here for your Sunday. All right, here is a look at your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. Your temperatures are going to be the upper 40s to low 50s. Snow levels down to about 3,000 feet possibly by Wednesday, otherwise around 3,500 feet for Tuesday, Wednesday. So travel not a major issue here for at least the first half of the weekend. But by Sunday, especially into Monday, Tuesday, yeah, definitely, especially Monday, because we won't see much on Tuesday. But there you can see here, yeah, off and on chances for rain. Up to the north, 56 degrees out towards Gas Key, 53 for Orleans, and 54 degrees in Hoopa. We take you out to Siskiyou County. We got temperature about 49 in Fort Jones, 52 for Ashland in southern Oregon, 45 in McDowell, and 44 degrees in McLeod. All right, let's take you off to Modoc County. We got 46 degrees for Tule Lake, 48 in California Pines, and Eagleville about 48. For the eastern mountains for your Saturday, temperatures mid to upper 40s. Snow levels eventually down to 4,000 feet by Monday through Wednesday of next week. For the valley to the south, temperatures in the low to mid 50s there. Let's take you up to Chico, your 7-day forecast there. And you're talking temperatures upper 40s, cooler by Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. All right, let's take you up to the north here. 53 degrees for Redding, 54 degrees for Anderson, and Red Bluff about 55 degrees. And there's your 7-day forecast for Redding. There it is. Temperatures in the low 50s pretty much through the next 7 days. Off and on chances for rain. Should dry out entirely by Thursday and Friday. All right, that is your Friday evening update. Be sure to check in with Chase Wilson over the weekend. He'll be here on Saturday and Sunday to keep you updated with the storms. I will, of course, be on standby and probably keeping a close eye on things as well. And then on Monday, we will see how bad it is. If it's bad enough, I will be here on Monday. If not, meteorologist Aurora Murray will be in to give you your forecast, and I will be there for the rest of next week. In the meantime, be sure to keep checking in with weathernorcal.com, the free Weather NorCal app, the 24-hour streaming channel available on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, and anywhere YouTube is available, including your smart TV. Have a happy and safe weekend, everyone.
Time is ticking down on the final deals of 2025 at Crown Motors. Every car on the lot is discounted for this sale. Ford buyers will receive an additional $1,000 in mega cash from Ford on top of all other discounts. And selected Fords get 0% APR for 60 months, 0 down payment, and 0 payments for 90 days. Time is running out. So come to Crown Motors on Cypress Avenue or visit us online at crownmotorsreading.com.